iPhone is buzzing. Howdy,
You got
everyone.
It's a really good camera on there if you want to start making cell phone movies.
Right? Good. Happy Sabbath.
What's up?
Howdy, Matt's living room. Oh, there he is. Howdy, Matt. Howdy, Landon.
What's up?
Yep. Who do we got in chat? Howdy, Landon. Howdy, Brenda. We're just hanging out. Guys, Matt decided to get the longshoreman uniform also.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you know what we don't like? Scabs crossing the picket line.
Found that out the hard way.
Yep. Actually, I've been anti-union since the copper mines in Arizona went on strike when I was young. And they did a drive-by on this guy's house, and he was like, I don't remember, either he was a supervisor and couldn't, wasn't allowed to picket by union rules, or he was on probation, right, for his job. Anyways, they were calling him a scab, and they did a drive-by on his house and killed his daughter.
Ooh.
And here's the thing that got me. Nobody ever turned him in, whoever shot him. So it's an unsolved case to this day. I was like, you know what? If that's the kind of people in unions, I don't want any part of them.
Yeah. Oof, that's rough. Well, we got a nice paying job in Detroit. I had a marathon plant, and there's not really, there's unions in Louisiana, but it's not like a big, I've worked side by side with them at a Folgers in New Orleans, and they were upset non-union was there, but that was it. They were just like, yeah. So anyway, we get up to Detroit, and they did not tell. I have no real experience with like a strong union, and they didn't tell us they were on strike, and so that was an experience. Getting just walking into something and being treated very differently.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, not my favorite organization.
No, they're not at the top of my love list.
He stole all the tailgates off the non-union workers' trucks.
Really?
Yeah. And the security was like, "Oh, the cameras were out that day." It's like, dude.
Then they got a job working at that jail in New York City. Yeah, watching Epstein.
Oh, that's funny.
I don't know. The cameras just quit working. Right then, when he hanged himself with braided toilet paper.
Right. Garbage bags. They're actually pretty strong.
The garbage bags.
Yeah.
But if you're on suicide watch, they're not supposed to be giving those to you.
Right.
Yeah. All fun and entertainment.
Got a lot of birds out here today.
Birds?
Mm-hmm. There's flying all over.
You got a big bird?
No big birds. Just little ones.
I'm starting to get shaped like Big Bird. I got to work on my legs.
Oh, man, that ain't good. Don't skip leg day.
I'm getting top heavy. It looks ridiculous.
Right? It's funny, working in the prison, the inmates used to call legs running sticks or chicken sticks, depending on if they did leg day or not. Chicken sticks are, well, you get the idea. It's like a chicken leg.
Right.
Mm-hmm. It's like calling someone pencil neck.
Pencil neck.
Mm-hmm.
Eraser head. was watching a comedian the other day. And he was talking about what was he talking about? He was talking about when he was a kid, everybody had nicknames. He said that's the problem with today's generation. He says they're too sensitive. And he was talking about his friends he grew up with. One of them lost an eye, so they called him Aimer because he was always like this.
It's pretty funny.
Yep. Yeah, I thought so.
Eraserhead.
Yeah. Eraserhead. That was a crazy movie. And there was what was that? I can't. Was it Fridays or something else? Where the cops pull up on those dudes. That I think it was Kid and Play. The dude that had his hair like that. The cops pull up with the spotlight on him, and there's all you, Eraserhead. Come here.
Poor fella.
What was that? I think it was Kid and Play. Nope, I don't know.
Is it cold over there?
Not really. not like it is where you are.
Mhm.
It's a like 40s, something like that.
Okay. I think we're back to normal tomorrow. Like 50s is the highs. So then it'll be in the 70s next week. It's,
That House Party is the name of the movie I was thinking of. That. Where'd it go, man? Where'd it go? Is that it? That's it. This one?
yeah.
Hey, you, Eraserhead. Okay. I guess that shows how old I am. Tony made it. What's going on? You should subscribe to Tony's channel. Just about any time you go on there, you can find either a Bible study or a good discussion. Tony's Coffee House. Yeah. I'm sure if they figure out a way for computers to squirt out coffee, he'd be on it. He would. So, how big's your herd of quail, Matt?
This morning, pretty big. There's at least 50 of them out there.
Right? This is when we see something like this is when we need the video of that cat. No, 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 no.
I think Iowa's like.
What?
I think my mom said Iowa last night was like -13. It was negative like 30 or 40 wind chill.
Yeah, they ran out of colors on the Weather Channel for how cold. There was like a section up there by Chicago, like that whole area. It went from purple to blue to dark blue to white, and then there was just like a clear part. It's
global warming.
It's so cold, we'll freeze the color out of you. Well, good stuff. Context makes all the difference when you're reading scripture. It really does. Especially when you get into to Paul and he takes 2-3 chapters to address one idea. But people always pick a verse out of Paul and say, see, this is what we're going to base our entire belief system on.
Yeah.
Yep. So that Luke 2:14, if you guys don't have it memorized, is glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace, goodwill toward men. So if the messengers of Yah, of God, are sending a messenger to earth saying, hey, peace, what's he saying? He's saying, hey, let's make peace, but who's he make peace with? You don't make peace with someone you're already at peace with, right? And that goes with, we were at enmity with him. While we were at enmity with him, he died for our sins. This is fact. Except there's no globe. Hey, calm down, man. So it's okay. You can relax a little bit. Tell you, I'm going to make you a wooden pole with one of those grapple hooks on it, like fishermen use to pull nets up and stuff.
Mm-hmm. The fish.
The what?
The fish.
Oh, 241. See what dyslexia will get you? That.
What's that one say?
Now, his parents went to Jerusalem every year at the Feast of Passover. That is one of the required 3 feasts, no? No, it isn't, actually. Passover's for the house. But they had relatives there. Why would they have relatives there? I'll tell you, as a married man, you always spend your holiday meals at the in-laws. Who was Mary's in-law, or who was Mary's family? Who resided in Jerusalem?
Martha.
Who?
Right.
Elizabeth?
No, it starts with an M.
An M?
John's
Mary?
mom. John's mom.
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth. I'm thinking of something else.
Yeah. Yep, John the Baptist family. So they must have had some priests in the family. Howdy, Margaret. Whoops. There we go. Now, does that mean you're not saved if you don't say Yerushalayim instead of Jerusalem? Okay, I'm getting a bit jestful, but what are you doing? You can't knock on the door and then run away. Those of you with dogs know what we're talking about. Zacharias, yep.
Chop hurt his foot, his paw prints, and started.
Dogs are pretty funny when it's cold outside. They're like, I don't know. And they go out all slow. Not as bad as when it's raining and you open the door and they're just like, nope, we're going to do some bladder stretching exercises today.
Right. I have the most sheltered pit bull that I've ever, because I've had other ones that they would just run out and into the water, and he's like, he'll get all excited and he jumps through the leash to get ready, and then we open the door and he's like, oh, nah.
When you're pulling on them, they're trying to go backwards and slip the collar.
Right.
When the
As soon as
pond
you
was
open-
full of water, my dogs
what?
were. When the pond was full of water, my dogs were. It was every time they had a chance to run out, they'd jump in it. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's because it's dirty, muddy water
Yeah,
that cows were pooping in. That make it clean water that smells like lavender. Nope, they're gonna be like, no.
Eli won't. He's weird. He likes to stand in streams. He'll just stand.
Yeah. Yeah, my sister used to live in South Texas, and they had a dog that every single time they went to the beach, she would catch wind of a dead seagull or a dead seal washed up on the beach or something, and she would be like, "Pew!" like a greyhound
To go rub in it.
Mm-hmm.
roll on it. Yep.
Yeah.
I've thought about that. The only way I can make sense of why dogs enjoy that smell is because if your nose was that much stronger than like our nose, I guess by design, God would have it's such like imagine going to a city dump, but having the strength of a dog's nose, like it would be overwhelming. So it just makes sense to me why that stuff smells like good to them. Why they're like, ooh, cologne, you know?
Yeah, I think it's something left over from their hunting days where they
Mask them.
Yep, it masks their scent.
Mm.
You
Yeah.
have all the sad deer, like, man, that was horrible. What happened to Bob? all dead. I can still smell his body, and then surprise, you're not smelling his body. It's a wolf. It
Right.
smells like dead Bob.
Whew, that's a rough way to go.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. That sounds like stuff I used to do in my teens. Don't do that. Don't do that anymore. And taste the colors, man.
I thought that's where you were going with it.
Nope. Man, all the wasted time. All that wasted time. Yeah, dogs. There's a reason the dogs were outside the city walls for the most part.
Right. Packs of them.
Yep.
Well, there's out here. There's coyotes. Packs of coyotes everywhere. Every
Yeah,
night.
there's packs of coyotes here in town.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, they take the rivers and drainage ditches, and they come up into a little subdivision. Could be houses, could be townhouses. Townhouses, it seems, are more popular because they got shorter walls, shorter fences,
Hmm.
and people are like, "Oh, look, let's let our little weenie dog out in the yard," and then all of a sudden, coyote goes boing over the fence, grab, boing, back out. Or
You know what's
cats.
weird? My older brother was telling me though that coyotes don't even have that strong of a bite, and supposedly he looked it up, and it's got like the weakest bite out of any dog. I don't know, but
Maybe the coyote just didn't want to take the test.
yeah, I know, right? It's like, who did
Yeah.
this test too? How are they figuring that out?
Grab a handful of skin on the side of a coyote, see how hard it bites.
I know, right? I was just thinking to myself, oh, I'm good. I'm pretty sure it's gonna puncture skin. So. I live out in Arizona, country dad. Southern
Yep.
Arizona.
I'm in southeastern Arizona. That's more south than more east, though.
Practically neighbors.
We are
Mm. If we
actually.
tried to walk to each other, though, we would die.
Excuse me. Yep. Yeah. Go get baby deer.
Mm.
Go get
Yotes.
anything they can get their hands on. That my daughter and I and the dog were watching a pack of coyotes, probably about 7 or 8, I think. And they were going through the bottom of the riverbed. And they were they were working it out perfectly. It was perfect teamwork. So one or two would run up one side of the river and then run into the middle and start just going back and forth. And then all the little game that was in there, little baby rabbits and mice and pack rats and stuff like that, would go running away from them into the pack that was coming up. And then every once in a while, you'd see one in the pack just grab some small animal and be like, chow it down.
Clever.
Yep.
I've seen the coyotes out here trying to get a calf before, but the cows out here, they're usually in like groups of like 40 or 50 of them. So the minute coyotes get around them, they ball up and they start ramming them. It's pretty funny to see it.
They put their butts towards the middle.
Yeah, they all gang up and surround the calves. And the bulls like don't even fight. They don't even do anything. They just go around and mate all the cows. But the cows are the ones that are crazy. You don't want to get near a cow and something's trying to get its calf.
Bulls don't care unless they're rutting.
Even though they're
what?
massive.
Oh yeah, that one we saw out there that one day, man. That thing looked like it was doing steroids. It was all defined. Had all this definition.
Like, are they injecting these things with roids? They should not be this big.
Yeah, that thing was buff.
There's a lot of them. They brought out like 3 or 4 more bulls for this area for some reason. But yeah, luckily they take off the bulls' horns. They don't do it to the cows, but at least the bulls don't have horns. That must be a law or something. I'm not sure.
I doubt it, but my uncle got gored by a cow, not a bull. I guess he got just a little too close to the calf while he was working on a fence, and the cow gored him, jabbed him in the back, pinned him up against the fence, and was like, "Hey, you're too close to my calf." That'll make your back hurt.
I had one, remember, that wouldn't leave my property for like a good solid 3 to 4 days. Anything that got near it, it'd ram it.
Look at that. Well, that settles that. 88 pounds per square inch on a sharp point.
Will not be a love
You're gonna feel it.
Yeah, so it is weak compared to a dog or a wolf, but it's still not weak.
Mm-hmm.
What's a human's bite force?
1,100 psi.
Really?
I don't know. I just pulled that number out.
That's
probably just as accurate as some of the stuff you can find, though.
You ever seen a video? You made me think of it when you were talking about the cows. I forget the name of the show, but they would follow. It wasn't cops, but they would follow these cops around in different cities on the show, and they go back and forth and catch like live action. Well, some people were running from the police, and they ended up crashing their car and getting out, and they ran into a cow field and thought that they would hide in the herd of cows. And the cows started beating the crap out of them, and they caught the whole thing on tape from the helicopter because they could see the heat signature. And the cows were just, it's
That's
kind of comical. Yeah.
I could see it.
Yeah. But they did it. They had a calf or two, and they surrounded them, did exactly what y'all were talking about. Yeah.
Yep. So Country Dad, yeah. Talking about the I think he's talking about where Jacob's feeding the animals in front of the certain branches. Yep.
Yeah, the colors.
Sheeps.
Yep. I'm convinced that activates something in them that they think, okay, they need to look like this because we're going to be living in this area and they need this camouflage. This is how they need to look.
Interesting.
You know, you could probably, I don't know, somebody needs to try that with zebras and see if they can get them to come out like polka dotted or something.
That would be interesting.
Yep. Yeah, we're working on getting people together for that too. Yeah. Some people don't want a full 5 acres.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, well, I'd rather get 5 acres and split it with 4 other people or something like that.
5 acres is a decent amount of land. I mean, I guess you don't have to mow grass out there, do you? But
yeah,
you can.
There. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Only if you don't want fire.
We're like right in between where a grassland and a desert comes together. So we have both. And it's when the monsoon hits out here, it becomes like crazy green. And just every inch of land gets covered in something. But you know, then you still get right before the monsoon, you get that dry, hot summer. But the winters out here, I mean, the nights get cold, but you're going to be wearing shorts and a t-shirt in the day within like 2 hours of sunrise. Especially if you're from the Midwest. You're used to single digit temps in the winter and stuff, or snow. No, it's nowhere near as hot as Phoenix. Phoenix gets into like, you know, 100, like, what do they average? Like 112, I think, in the summer, something like that.
Oh, lovely.
It's ridiculous. Out here, it's usually in the 90s, but it can get in the hundreds.
It's a rare thing where you'll be sitting there and thinking, is my ear going to melt off?
Yeah.
And think it's entirely possible.
I went there to get solar panels once and with my brother, and they were in the shade and we couldn't pick them up with our hands. We had to get gloves.
Yep. That's an interesting combination. Log cabin and a racetrack. What kind of racetrack? Horses? Cars? Yeah. Those, I hope, were light pants.
You know, though, what's funny about that is some of these workwear companies, they'll sell their shirts and say it's like SPF, whatever. you know, some sunproof rating. And I thought to myself, well, isn't all shirts sunproof? But
because if you get those like super tissue paper thin wannabe urban cowboy Western shirts, like some of the Wrangler ones, it's like super thin. It's like Kleenex, man. Super thin cloth. You can get a sunburn through those easy.
It doesn't work, and when you start sweating, it just drench. It's
Yeah, if you look at the most of the laborers that have been here a while, they wear a t-shirt underneath a long sleeve shirt, and then that way, as the t-shirt gets wet from sweat, they can unbutton their shirt and adjust it, and it's like wearing a swamp cooler, an evaporative cooler. To those of you that are in areas that don't have evaporative coolers, we call them swamp coolers. Because for the monsoons, all they do is pump more humidity into your house. And it's miserable. Miserable, I tell you.
yeah, where an air conditioner will take it out.
Yeah.
The border's kind of open, I guess. I see almost weekly, probably twice a week, the main roads out here, which are in the middle of the valley. I'll see younger Hispanic men wearing the exact same camouflaged outfits, looking for border patrol because they know that they're going to get picked up and dispersed.
Yeah.
It's true. It's everyone out here talks about it, knows it, but
yeah, everywhere where they haven't built the wall, chances are it's just barbed wire fence, if that, and a lot of times that's laying on the ground.
and there's videos too of them already just climbing over the wall.
No, well, there was heck, as soon as they put up the first couple of sections, within a month or two or a couple of weeks, they had devised some type of folding ramp contraption that flopped over the top. Yeah, Lukeville's bad.
I know I mentioned this probably before. It's still a funny joke. I saw some graffiti in a porta can in a plant. There's a lot of there's a large Hispanic presence in the scaffold builder world. And this was a couple of years back, whenever they were just the wall was in the news and everything. But it says, if Trump builds a wall, we'll build a bigger scaffold.
But out here where I'm at, I've never seen anyone. It's just the main roads in the middle of the valley. It's like they, it's literally like it's just set up. Like they know where to go. They know where they're supposed to, because I constantly see the same, the same outfits, the same places.
So, Margaret, we used to have the Tucson drag strip, which was awesome when I was a little kid. It was really cool because they used to hold the drag racing winter nationals semifinals here. So all the biggest names in drag racing would show up. We'd go out, and back then there wasn't, they didn't have like safety barriers and stuff like that. So you could get down at the end of the trap, like right where they finish, where they'd be going maximum speed. Yeah, they'd come blowing past you, but they already shut the engines off. So you just get the whoomp and rush of wind and power, and that wind and speed, man. Yeah. Anyways, the great irony is, because you said that place is an airfield that used to be an airstrip. Well, the guy that owned on drag strip used to fly his airplane in there, and they would check him out. They checked him out a few times. He's like, no, I'm just landing my plane here. And then a couple of years passed. and someone decided to check him again, and he'd been flying drugs in. So the government seized Tucson drag strip.
Dun,
Closed
dun,
it up.
dun.
Yep. So then now they built a new one, but it's out at the Pima County Fairgrounds. They call it Tucson Raceway or something.
Hmm.
I don't know. Doesn't have the charm of the other one.
Hmm.
But
So what
but
did they
lo
do
and-
with the airstrip that they seized?
with the drag strip that they seized?
Yeah, right. That's yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Auctioned it off. It's townhomes now.
Ah,
You've seen right where Davis begins, that
Yeah.
Tombstone airstrip there.
Yeah.
That I thought that was a farmer, like just some random guy's airstrip, but that's for the town of Tombstone.
Yeah. I'm aware.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
hilarious.
when you fly planes, right? When you look at the performance figures of airplanes, it's always given at sea level at like help me out, Linda, 72 degrees, right? Standard atmosphere, which means your barometer is at 29.92 inches of mercury. And it's also supposed to be a gross weight for the airplane. But then you start adding in, when you start adding in things like temperature, air gets thinner. When the air gets thinner, your plane needs to go faster to create the same amount of lift. And as you go up in altitude, right, or elevation of the airport, the air gets thinner and you have to go even faster. So you add in, higher temperatures and higher elevation, then your performance starts decreasing quite a bit. And anyways, they give you formulas to work out what they call density altitude, so you can figure out exactly how well your airplane's going to perform. And all the pilot manuals for aircraft stop at 120 degrees. Now, this is why you'll see in the summertime they close the airport in Phoenix, Arizona, right? Because it'll be 122 at the airport, and the pilots legally cannot take off. The planes would do it, but they legally are not allowed to take off because they don't have a mathematical formula above 120 degrees. And if they did it, then the FAA would hammer them. So anyways, I build all that up to say, when I was a nice young pilot in my Cessna 172, one beautiful June day when it was like already 100 degrees in Tucson, I said, I'm going to go land on that airstrip in Tombstone. So I went buzzing around, just bebopping. And of course, by the time I got there, it was like, I don't know, probably 100 degrees there. And I figured, the plane's not performing very well right now. I think I'll just do a touch and go and see how it goes. And it's like, man, I was lucky to make it off the ground just doing a touch and go, because the air was all hot and thin. I said, okay, I'm not trying that again. Now I see why all these bush pilots do it at like 4 a.m, right when the crack of dawn's starting. And there's where that student pilot's plane smashed into the top of that mountain right there.
There is some plane that wrecked on the Stronghold Mountains. Some famous planes still up there. You can see like all the shiny parts of it when you look at it, or when you look at the mountain and the sun's hitting it a certain way.
Yep.
I'd like to see. I saw a picture somewhere on social media. There was that, and I know this is rare. I mean, I don't know if I've heard of one in my lifetime, besides like 9/11. But there was a passenger plane that crashed in Metairie, Louisiana. Metairie or Kenner, it's a suburb of New Orleans. But it's in the airports over there in Kenner. It's on the outskirts of the city. But it was, I mean, a lot of people lost their lives, and it crashed into a residential neighborhood. I saw the picture and the damage and everything, but it didn't say what the cause was. I'm just I'm curious. It was like Pan America, something like that. But I don't know. I'm gonna have to look that up because that's pretty rare in America.
Yep. And any landing where you can use the plane again is a great one. Yep. Flying's not a problem. It really isn't. People are all, I'm scared of flying. I'm scared of flying. What they mean to say is, I'm scared of coming back to Earth in the airplane. That's where you got problems with flying.
I hate giving up control. That's my fear. Like, because usually, especially if you're flying somewhere, you get to see the pilot before you take off as you're all being seated, but I don't know you.
Yeah.
And it's the idea of giving. I can't fly the plane anyway. I would need direction, but giving control to someone else that I can't even communicate with because he's behind a locked door.
Oh, heck, man, back in the 70s when I first flew on an airliner, you're going to your plane and you're walking past, multiple crews of pilots sitting in the lounge at the airport. And I mean, even now, look how often they bust pilots for drunk flying or attempting to
Right.
drunk fly.
Right.
Yeah. They're
Yeah, it's
all
a miracle.
fun until they quit working.
I've only ever flown with my uncle in his plane, like whenever he's had a plane with him. I've never been on a commercial plane.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. My
Across the
brother
ri-
was, go ahead.
No, that's all right. Mhm.
Oh, I was going to say my brother was asking my dad about his flight training stuff. And from me talking to my dad, I know they started out in Piper Super Cubs, and they teach you all the basics in that with all your aerobatics and basic control and stuff. And then they moved you to a T6, which was leftover from World War II training. And then after that, they went briefly to the T-28, which was another propeller-driven trainer. And then after that, they put him in the T-33, which is based on the first jet fighter that the U.S. actively used, which was the P-80/F-80. And my brother asked him, said, "Did you notice a difference in the power between the piston engines and the jets?" My dad was like, "Oh yeah. Oh yeah." He said, even those old jets, he said there was heaps more power than there was with the piston engine.
That's crazy because the planes that I've been on, like the little, two person or 6-person seaters or whatever, whenever he would take off, it's like flooring a Ferrari. They've got way more get up and go in the car.
Oh yeah, they do.
So imagine a jet.
Passenger jet's kind of similar to that too. The worst part is there was one of them. It wasn't like a layover or anything, but he was having trouble getting clearance to leave the runway. It was busy. We were in Atlanta or something. He was just waiting on other schedules so they could take off. And enough time had passed by while we were just sitting in the plane waiting that I fell asleep, took a nap, waiting 45 minutes. And, but when you wake up to it, yeah.
Linda says there are old pilots and bold pilots, but no old bold pilots. And I used to say that, but I'd always add, except Bob Hoover. But Bob Hoover died, so now it's true. Bob Hoover was, man, that dude was the man. He used to do a demonstration when he worked for Rockwell, which used to be North American, which made the P-51. But he would get in the Shrike Commander, which was a twin engine business propeller job. And he would shut both engines off at altitude and then dive, come down, right, with the engines off, do a loop, and then go back to the other end of the airport, come back this way, and then roll it, right? So wing overs, doing a roll twice in front of the air show crowd, and then go back and drop the landing gear and land on the runway with both engines off. And that pretty impressive stuff. And that, and then he did all kinds of stuff. But if you look him up, he was interesting character. He got shot down in World War II in Germany, and then him and some other people broke out of prison camp, and then they found a German airfield, and one of the dudes that he had been with helped him steal a Focke-Wulf 190 German fighter, and he flew it back behind the front lines. So, and he was like, "Man, what am I doing? I'm pretty stupid." So I'm flying an enemy airplane into our territory. So I'm liable to get shot down again by my own side. But then after that, he did all that stuff. He's the dude that flew chase plane for a lot of the stuff Chuck Yeager was doing when Chuck Yeager broke the sound barrier. And that my dad said he saw him at an air show, because when they started having supersonic airplanes, planes that can break the speed of sound, a lot of pilots were crashing the F-100 Super Sabre. And they said, "Let's put Bob Hoover on the job." So he used to just go out and he would fly for F-100 squadrons and say, "Look, this is all the things your plane can do." And my dad said he saw him in an F-100 demonstration take off, right? So get off the ground, but wasn't like trying to climb up. Take off, get off the ground, rolled it over so he's flying upside down, and retract the landing gear. And then by the time he got halfway down the runway, and he said after he was doing those demonstrations, he was like, all the F-100 pilots were like, "I can do that." Interesting dude, though. But now he's gone.
Happy with two wheels.
On a four-wheel vehicle. Yep. Yeah, I had a student for my concealed carry classes that was a P-51 pilot in World War II, but the war ended when he had just finished training, basically. He said, "I did my job great as a P-51 pilot in World War II. None of the Japanese got past Kansas."
One of my uncles used to tell us the story over and over about how he was dropping bombs.
I had a substitute teacher in 7th and 8th grade. And he was up there in age at the time, but he didn't mind sharing story. He was one of the guys that jumped into I don't know if it was Normandy, but it was during that operation where they were storming the beaches and then all the planes, basically the invasion. And he would kind of tell us, and not the gore of it, but in detail, jumping out of the plane and having a fight and then getting shot, hiding in a barn with a few other people. It was interesting just to kind of hear him, He was saying they kind of had to carry him around because he got shot several times and they were still fighting. And now people that age are like, they complain about working an 8-hour day at the barista.
Yeah. That person made me make them another coffee.
They didn't call me the right name.
You know, it's funny because as far as World War II, talking about World War II, that you always hear, oh, the bomber crews over Europe had it so bad. You know, they were just sitting ducks. But then when you look at the statistics, you had a much greater chance of dying on a ship against the Japanese in the Pacific.
Some of them just split apart.
Yeah. Yeah. One good torpedo hit into the magazines and boom, your ship splits in half and there you go.
Right.
Or that, you know, look up the USS sinking of the USS Indianapolis, where all those dudes were the ones that survived out of like 900 survivors, something like that. Only like 300 made it past the sharks and drowning, exhaustion and stuff.
When they pulled them out of the water, salt water does something to the skin.
Yeah. That. Yep. I don't have to eat salt for the rest of my life. I'll tell you what, though, man. Me having been in the Navy, there's a big difference compared to being on a cruise ship, you know, where you can mostly see the shore wherever you are, and being on a bobbing little cork. I was on an aircraft carrier, but mind you, out in the middle of the ocean, it's a cork. It's hard to get people to comprehend the vastness and deepness of water that's out there.
Yeah. Pretty blue, though.
I got in that argument with someone, 2 people actually, because we parked in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. And I kept saying, look how blue the water is. And they kept saying, look how clear it is. Finally, somebody went inside and they came back out with a new bolt about 8 inches long, probably about an inch in diameter. We're standing on this little sponson about 75 feet, 80 feet above the water. He throws it overboard. And we could see it for about 5 minutes. And I was like,
Wow.
That's some really clear water.
Yeah.
How deep is it?
Oh, thousands and thousands of feet.
Miles.
But figured, look at when you drop something metal in a swimming pool, how quick it sinks.
Right.
In this, you can just see it going.
You seen that they found like what do they call it? Like a pond inside of a lake or whatever. Or they're finding like bodies of water inside a body of water.
Yeah. Yeah. Fresh water,
Mhm.
inside water, inside salt water, stuff like that.
Hmm.
You know, the thing that I've seen all kinds of stuff. You see whales, you see dolphins, you see flying fish. That's pretty weird. But absolutely the strangest thing that just blew my mind is coming up from beneath deck onto the catwalk alongside the flight deck. Early morning, probably about 5 o'clock. Wasn't even dawn yet. And I'm like, what is that? I'm looking down at the water. Can't really tell. And as I get further forward, I can see that we're cruising through the water and the ship is parting a fog bank, and the water is smooth as glass. Smooth, I mean, not a ripple in it until the ship went through it. And it's like, how does it get that smooth? And it's funny because decades later, I was working in a machine shop, and there was a dude that was in there who used to be on a destroyer or cruiser, I forget. And when he found out I was in the Navy, he was like, "Oh yeah, man, really? Did you like it? What'd you think? Pretty weird, huh? Being out in the middle of the ocean. Did you see flying fish? Did you see dolphins? Did you ever see the ocean totally smooth?" I was like, "Yeah, I have seen the ocean totally smooth."
Never saw any spaceships coming out the water.
Nope. Because if you were out, well, when you're working, if you're outside, you're on the flight deck or paying attention to the flight deck. But if you're on the flight deck, you're like this constantly because there's two big holes you need to be aware of on the flight deck. One of them is the exhaust on jets, which will blow you overboard. And then the other one is the intake on jets or the propeller on other planes. So you're either you got a chance of getting blown overboard from either prop wash or jet wash, or getting hacked up into little pieces, or getting sucked up into a blender. So you pay attention to what you're doing.
Right.
Yep. Nobody's ever going, "Whoa, did you see that? Look at that way out there." All you're worried about is didn't see a person blown overboard, but one dude was blown overboard at night, but somebody saw him get blown overboard, and simultaneously they launched these rocket powered 4-inch flares, right? That was impressive. There was multiples, but they lit up the visible ocean from where we were. Couldn't not see. And helicopter, because you always have a helicopter on patrol in case one of the planes crashes. And so simultaneously they launched those. The helicopter put a spotlight on the dude, and the ship started a turn, which for an aircraft carrier, it's like a 2-mile turn, right?
Yeah.
Turning around. And we had a man overboard drill, or not drill. We had a man overboard. So everybody has to drop what they're doing, doesn't matter, and go to your muster location. And then they put everybody's name down to figure out who went overboard. And so all of that happened. And by the time that the helicopter plucked him out of the water and set him back on deck, 4 minutes. So that gave me a lot of encouragement. I don't know, Margaret, where he landed. I don't know how far he got blown overboard. I know he missed the safety nets, though.
And that one dude was swimming for something like 22 hours. Like,
yeah, there's been a couple.
Fell off the Valor.
Yep. Yeah, there was not long after I got out, there was a Marine that fell off. I don't know. He just got off the ship somehow in the Persian Gulf. And when you're in boot camp, Marines or Navy, they teach you how to turn your pants into a flotation device while you're waiting, right? And, you have to keep filling them up with air like every 5 minutes, 2 or 5 minutes. And That's what he did, and he got picked up by an Iranian fishing trawler. And see, that's the interesting thing, that if you're not at war but you're still picked up by non-friendly ships, there's like a code. Hey, dude was in the drink. Let's show him some respect, because everybody's been on that cork out in the middle of nowhere. And it's like, if you survive that, yep. If you survive that, you deserve some respect. Yep. Pants floating. Yep. Pants, your t-shirt, turn everything. You don't know how to turn everything you're wearing into a flotation device. Those stupid Dixie cup hats from the Navy, learn how to use those. Use whatever you have. Yeah, and then it's kind of discouraging because you do it in a real big swimming pool in boot camp, but and you put your body weight on it, and there's like all these air bubbles leaking out. That's not exactly instilling confidence in me. But if your choice is that or dying, yeah, you're better off. I'm like, yep. Oh yeah, tanks, water tanks. Well, we do the same to them. That usually when you're doing workups, you go to Gitmo, which is what, Guantanamo Intensive Training and Methods Organization or something like that. Gitmo. Everybody goes. And the first time my ship went down there, a Soviet diesel submarine basically they were gonna die. Something happened. The batteries exploded or something. They had to surface, and the submarine was gonna sink. And the USS John F. Kennedy was part of that rescue effort. But ships from everywhere. Someone calls a mayday, man. Everybody's on it. In peacetime. Same thing goes back to flying, that when you're learning how to fly, you got right-of-way rules, and there's general right-of-way rules, just like there is for traffic. And one of them is, who has the most right-of-way? Well, the very first one is any aircraft that's declared an emergency.
Yeah.
And then after that, it goes balloons, right? Doesn't matter if it's a gas balloon or a hot air balloon. Those have the most right away. And then, let's see, it's balloons. And then I want to say some type of fixed wing aircraft. And then after that, after fixed wing aircraft goes helicopters and heavy lift now.
I would have thought helicopters would have been before.
No, because they're more maneuverable. If they're working correctly.
Yeah, it's the only thing. I like the idea of helicopters more than airplanes, but if something goes wrong in an airplane, you can still fly it for a long time. A helicopter, not so much.
Yep. Yeah, my best man was killed on a helicopter. Well, killed with a helicopter. He didn't die until he got on the hospital. Oh, yes, that's right. Unpowered aircraft after balloons. So gliders, so it goes balloons, gliders, then planes, and helicopters. I think heavy lift is probably before helicopters too. I don't know. Heavy lift is like the Ospreys, the tilt rotor airplanes. So what else is happening? You look like you're pretty warm, Landon.
Decently. I got 2 pairs of socks on.
Do you?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man.
It's warm, but my air conditioner didn't run. I mean, my heater isn't running at full because it just didn't shut off all night. So it's just warming up a little bit here.
You look pretty warm, Matt.
Yeah, it's warm.
Huh.
This house stays nice.
You got the rocket stove going?
No, I only have to run it, once in a blue moon if I want to just get the heat up, but I don't really have to. I have so much thermal mass now, the sun just does it. In fact, I ran the air conditioner quite a few times this winter to just get the humidity out.
Yep.
Put on that flight jumpsuit I was telling you about, and I had to. You can't just take it off because it's a whole process. But I got inside the warehouse, and our offices are on the opposite side. It's pretty decent walk to get to the other side. And by the time I got over there, I was drenched. I mean, I think it was like 28 degrees outside. Yeah. Those things are warm.
Yep. Oh, remember they started working on that technology in warfare. Hey, let's send people up in unpressurized airplanes in winter to go drop bombs.
Yeah.
And you're what? You're south of the lake or north of the lake?
I'm north.
North of.
Right on the top of it. I'm the second town. Well, technically they have some. I'm not counting the ones that are in the swamp because they're on land, but they're also in the water. But I'm the second town from when the interstate comes back down and is on like at sea level. So about 45 minutes outside of NOLA.
Nolans.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I was gonna go down there yesterday to visit my buddy. He got out the hospital.
How's he doing?
He was walking through the quarter and got shot in the neck.
Yeah, I remember.
But he's good. Yeah, they took they got the trach out. I mean, he's in good spirits because he was out. I had plans to go visit with him. I just thought I don't know if he has any family or whatever. And I figured the holiday season, he's sitting there alone, still healing up. I just want to go visit, but he was out and about, and so I said, well, he's doing good. He's doing good. Probably stay out of the quarter for a while. It's dangerous down there.
Well, it kind of always has been, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's gotten a lot worse. Well, I think. I mean, it's always been dangerous, but you have to walk in one of the cutaways. You have to get away from people. Now, you could be walking in the middle of everything, in the middle of the tourist area, say the wrong thing, and get shot in the face. I mean, it's.
Well, that's harsh. Yep. And his was just a random incident, right?
His was a robbery. He was walking from one store to a venue. He was going to a show or something. And the guy walked up to him, went to robbed him. But I'm like, if you're going to rob him, just rob him, And then he went to shoot him in the face. I mean, he was trying to kill him, but I guess he missed and it hit him in the neck.
Yep. I had a gun and concealed carry student from New York City, and he was telling me he got robbed one time in New York City. He said some dude jumped out, pulled the gun on him, and said, "This is a robbery. No need to turn it into a murder." He goes, "Okay, tell me what you need me to do." And he said, the guy's all, "Give me your wallet." So he gave him his wallet, and their business transaction was finished.
Yeah. Learned at a very early age when you're going into places, and I guess it wouldn't matter if it was like Bourbon Street or Vegas or New York, something like that, but you don't put your money in your wallet. Not the bulk of it. I mean, yeah, like $20, $30, so it looks like you had something. Like that's where you keep your money, but down there they got so many pickpockets, you can't even really carry anything in your back pocket. It has wallet, everything in the front, money hidden somewhere else. So we were chatting behind, I'll just share this with everyone. This is years ago, 2016. My life was a mess. I mean, I'm going to Bourbon Street, middle of Mardi Gras, obviously not saved yet. And had a miserable time, and the sun is coming up, and I'm feeling horrible and everything, just ready to go to sleep. And this girl walks up to me and she goes, "Hey, you want to get some breakfast?" And I'm like, "Sure." And she had a nice Tahoe, parked right next to Bourbon. So I hop in the passenger seat, and she said, she goes, "So what do you do?" And I said, "I'm a pipe fitter," which is stupid because they make a decent living. And she looked in her rear view, and then she was like, "You know what? I don't want to get anything. I'm good. I don't want to get anything to eat." And I'm like, "Why? What's wrong?" And she's like, "You can get out. Just go." So now my pride's hurt because I'm like, "What? I don't understand this." So I'm sitting on the corner and I'm watching, just seeing what she's doing. And I got distracted, looked at my phone for a second. And the next thing I heard was some guy screaming. He's chasing her. She's running because she had just pulled his wallet out of his pocket. He was an older man. She was able to get in the Tahoe and take off. We tell a police officer who was right there. He doesn't care. And this guy that was dressed like a homeless man picked up his wallet and said, "Hey, I got it. Here you go." All the cash is missing, but he gets his cars back. He was the drop. He's the switch. That's how it works. But I couldn't help but think if I'd have went to go get something to eat with her, I'd have been driven somewhere and rot. I mean, that was an absolute miracle. I mean, just really, I was so vulnerable, didn't even know it, that I was in a very dangerous situation, and something changed so
Man.
Anyway, don't go anywhere with strangers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt. Well, let's let everybody get back to their rest and have a great day. So, I don't know. We'll have another meeting in the middle of the week, probably. So, everybody, thank you for joining us. Thanks for coming on, Matt, Landon, everyone in chat. Have a great time. Love you all. Bye.
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 Bye.